Yes, ladies and gentlemen, chairs, distinguished audience, I warn you, I'll be bringing this conference to its low, below sea level. Julie Gold wrote, and many people have sung since, "From a distance, the world looks blue and green." And most of this conference we have spent at the green part of our world. So for the next 20 minutes, I will take this conference to its low, below sea level. And as you know, 70% of the world surface is ocean, but only within 5% of what we produce annually of food is originated from our aquatic areas. Food Outlook, published in May this year by FAO, forecasted 4.5 billion tons production of foods and feeds. And if you subtract feeds and other uses, then we have 3.1 billion tons of food produced this year. And as I said, within 5% come from this vast surface that the oceans and aquatic masses of the earth hold, and there we see opportunities. We have been discussing here in this conference the issue of the future, how to feed the world population. We see that capture fisheries or fishing is at struggle, but the cultivation is on grow. And as Assistant Director General for Fisheries and Aquaculture at FAO has stated that the world can feed itself population with cultivation if Asia can cultivate its fishes sustainably. As well, we need to mind about ocean pollution. But there is a high demand for efficiency and precision in fish processing, and with this background of minimal portion, the stakes are high in competition. We expect increase in demand for aquatic products in the future. And if you look more specifically into Europe, then we see that the European Union is not self-sufficient in terms of fish production. It relies heavily on import, both of caught fish as well as cultivated fish. But if you go even more down to fewer countries, then we see that there are few countries in this world that have fisheries of supreme importance. And Iceland is among those countries where fisheries is the most important compared to other countries. And Icelandic fisheries, we in Iceland, we are an island state, maybe small island state or large oceanic state, about 330,000 of us living there, but we are responsible for harvesting about 1% of the total world catch. That is because of the ocean currents. We have the Gulf Stream and the Arctic currents that make the waters of Iceland productive. And with that, the Fisheries Iceland Federation of Fish Vessel Operators, Processors, Exporters and Sellers have stated that Iceland and its fisheries is the Icelandic fisheries is the only fisheries in the OECD countries where fisheries is a net contributor to the economy. We are, in general, facing issue of fisheries being occupation of last resort, but in Iceland, with this economical benefit, we have a little bit different situation where people try to get into fisheries. Icelandic fisheries revolve around the cod, the Atlantic cod. And if you look at our currency, the Icelandic krona, 1 krona, you would see that it basically signifies in cod we trust. We have a picture of the cod on the krona. And we process it about 1/3 into salted production and 2/3 into fillet productions. And what was for a long time counted as waste in this processing, we now think of as byproducts. I can mention the heads and the backbones, which are now dried and exported to Nigeria, and that makes Nigeria a more important business partner of Iceland than the United States of America. We have been working in an ever-changing world of ever-changing challenges in Icelandic fisheries. In the 70s, when we extended our exclusive economic zones, we were working on saving valuables. Then later we started to try to solve the problems, and with more research and development work, we developed solutions, and now we are in the phase of implementing processes. This is done in a shift of value chains from raw material dominant or production pushed value chain towards market pull value chain. And the red thread in this is improved handling that increases utilization of the main product and open up possibilities to process the byproducts, and that increase the utilization overall and the general value. No. I just want to show a short video here.
The Icelandic fishing industry is important to the Icelandic nation and the country's economy. Over the last 2 decades or so, a significant increase has been seen in the value of exported Icelandic seafood. Yet at the same time, the overall quantity of caught fish has stayed relatively unchanged. Changes of this magnitude do not occur due to one factor only. Those of us who are investigating why these changes occur are quite convinced that increased commitment in recent years to research and development in the fishing industry is a major player. In cooperation with the fishing industries, governments and universities, our researchers have looked into different processes, handling, chilling, packaging and transport of fish, and a valuable know-how has been established. A know-how that results in highest quality of fish and fish products from Iceland. This development has been stimulated with an increase in focus on research and development, supported by the Icelandic Research Fund, RANNIS, AVS, an R&D fund of Ministry of Fisheries and Agriculture in Iceland, Nordic innovation, and many more key factors. This is one of many examples of how the Icelandic government, Icelandic industry, and Icelandic academia work together for a greater good.
Yes, and if you look specifically on the cod, the tables have really turned. We have really reduced what we take out of the ocean, but we have doubled the value measured in American dollars in 3 decades. And as said before, there is a huge effort in research and development collaboration. Since decision was made in 2003 of forming a strategic fund funding this kind of work in fisheries, the increased value of seafood research fund in fisheries, in 2003, we have accumulated about 45 million pounds sterling into research, that where collaboration is prerequisite of the funding. Here, the red line is showing a way of how Iceland is dealing with the IUU, illegal, unregulated, unreported fisheries, where fishermen were allowed to bring undesired catch ashore rather than discarding it on board the boat, but the catch value would be retained and put into specific research fund that in recent years have mainly been diverted to the Marine Research Institute at Iceland. It is collaboration, collaboration, and collaboration, both with existing companies and as well in way of forming new companies out of some of the projects that we have been working on in Iceland. As we see here, the background of this is the total catch in Iceland. And we measure somehow, to some extent, our respect for the nature, for the environment, and for the raw material in terms of how much we deliver as product of what we take out of the ocean. That is the green line. And then the red thread in this is the respect for the society in terms of economic value created. That is key for creating new jobs. That is the red line, where export value of landed catch has doubled in a decade. And in fisheries and in seafood processing, we are working with volatile food. We at Matís have been working to quite extent with best practices, opening way for increasing the material quality, and therefore adding to the utilization of the raw material. That opens up new product lines and processing lines, and overall that induces value creation. But all of this fish must be safe, sustainable, traceable, nutritious, responsible, ethical, and tasty, and preferably sold at the right price. Otherwise, nobody will buy this fish. We have been working in terms of best practices in terms of educating fishermen and fish processors. Here is a snapshot of an application for mobile phones, which indicate how much ice, the blue, is needed to chill a certain amount of fish. In this case, 281 kilo, because I couldn't fit more into the tub, the gray. Depending on how long this catch is stored at certain given ambient conditions, 1, 2, or 3 days. And we have been working with the fish processors and the logistics in terms of clarifying the misconception that the name Icelandic fish guarantees that the quality will end up eventually, no matter what, at the consumer. The guarantee Iceland doesn't secure that the product is cold. We need proper chilling of the catch and the products in the processing because we want to be able of selling our fish again and again. And if everything goes in hand, that the fish is cold on board, is cold in the processing, and is cold once it's packed in appropriate packing material, then that has opened up a new way of transporting fish to the markets, less by air freight, more by containers, fresh fillets, and the fact is that the processing has shifted from closer to the consumer to closer to the source. So now there is more filleting taking place in Iceland than before. And this work has, to some extent, really facilitated this increase of 150 million euros annual export of fresh fillet and portions since the turn of the century. In Matís, we work together with all the seven universities we have in Iceland. It's a bit too much. 2 of them are allowed to graduate PhDs. And mostly we have been working with the University of Iceland. Actually, the food science education master program has been outsourced from the University of Iceland to Matís and is to a large extent taught at our premises by our staff. And here is a list of few of industrial PhDs that were dealing with practical projects that were implemented in the industry soon after they completed their work. Most of them are done in Iceland. There are few from European universities. And then, in addition to that, we are partners in the United Nations University Fisheries Training Program, which is funded by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, but hosted by the Marine Research Institute. And those red are actually supported by that program to achieve a PhD in University of Iceland. We work very much in international collaboration as well, not only the Icelandic collaboration. And as the discussion was yesterday, the Prof Aqua project is one of 8 projects that the Nordic Innovation funded in the Nordic Marine Innovation 2.0 effort this year, where we are using local ingredients such as leftovers or residues from paper industry, cellulose. We treat it with fungi to break down and prepare proteins for fish feed. in terms of feed conversion ratio, fish in, fish out ratio, and the life cycle analysis of soybean produced protein in elsewhere and transported half across the globe. And then we are involved in few European projects as well. The way forward is through the blue bioeconomy. Utilization of marine compounds contribute to more than food, such as medicinal products or textile, like this fashion jacket here. And I would just like to say that at Matís we are about 100 people, a third of us has PhDs, and we value long-term integrity above short-term profit. We take initiative in turning good ideas into profitable solutions through science and innovation, and we are intent on achieving ambitious goals of our customers and our employees. Thank you very much.
Any question for Dr. Bergsson? This question over there.
Are you producing fish oil as well?
Well, Matís is a company owned by the Ministry of Industry and Innovation. Was formed by merger of 3 institutions. But one of these companies here, Lýsi, actually stands for cod liver oil. Lýsi, they are the largest producers of cod liver oil in Iceland. And actually they as well produce fish oil from tuna that they import, the raw material.
Any other question? Thank you very much, Doctor.
Thank you.